I'm here with Dan Southworth, probably the most badass ranger, the Quantum Ranger. How are you doing, buddy?
He said it. Might be true.
Might be true. It kind of is true.
I'm good, thanks.
I have a question for you, actually, because you also came back for Power Rangers Wild Force.
Yes, I did.
Now, tell me about the relationship, or at least implied relationship between you and Taylor.
Well, what you saw there was some real chemistry. Sometimes actors get some real chemistry going, sparking between one another, and we got along pretty well. We hung out afterwards for a drink or two, or and a dinner here and there. I think it was all in the same one.
Let me ask you.
We got along really well.
That's awesome. Let me ask you about where you think your character is now in the continuity of Power Ranger universe. Where do you think Eric Myers is now?
Right now, in terms of looking into the future?
Yeah. Like after your season wrapped, where's Eric at right now?
Well, when you saw him in the season, he lived pretty much in a trailer, had a couple of birds. I imagine he's somewhere on some distant planet now that he's had the ability to time travel and pick up a few futuristic, technologies and awareness and know-how. And he's probably off on some rock floating out in the middle of the space on a little trailer with some, space birds chilling.
Space birds chilling.
Maybe he's just flying a junker across the galaxy and, earning scrap pay.
Kind of like pulling like a Firefly?
He's one of those cool, was a badass ex-Navy SEAL or paramilitary soldier who's now just decided to discommunicate himself and disconnect from the rest of society and live it out like a hermit. But one day, when the country, when the world, when the universe needs him, he'll be there.
So are you saying that you're coming back to the show? That's a maybe. Listen, this is this theme of this new season's dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You had the Q-Rex Zord.
Yeah.
What are the chances we see Eric just come up in that dino charge?
I don't know. If the writers are smart, the chances are high.
Chances are high. Who would win, the Q-Rex or the Dragon Zord?
I think I've weighed in on that particular opinion once already.
All right. Now, you told me last time I talked to you was at Power Morphicon. You told me about some of the films you were doing. Let's talk about that. Where's production stand on those?
In terms of what I just finished a film called Hunted.
Hunted, yes. That's
Yes,
the one you
sci-fi action film. It's going to be really kick-ass. It's going to be off the chain, as they say. And it should be out in about another month or two. They're going through a lot of post-production because they're really cleaning up the CGI, and I've seen pieces of it. It's pretty awesome stuff.
As we talked about earlier with your Time Force cast, you guys had a great season.
Yes,
You guys had a great cast, and I know a lot of you guys still talk. Like, I know you and Fawn are still buddies, right?
yes, me and Font are still good buddies. We heckle each other online and in the social media and in front of large crowds as much as we can.
All right, now, your buddy, who was also on your show, Michael Copon's doing this new Power Ranger fan film thing.
Yes.
Do you know anything about it?
I do. He asked me about it.
Are you going to be in it?
I did a little promo
I saw that.
for it, and if I'm not busy working on something, I've already said I'll come down and set up the wire work if there's any wire work that needs to be done, or hook up the action.
That's awesome. So,
And I suppose that means I would also be appearing in it as well. But like I said, if our schedules can align, then all is good in the universe.
people, donate to that fan film because we want to see the Quantum Ranger back kicking ass and being the badass that you are. How do you feel about taking some fan questions?
I have no feelings whatsoever.
Great, let's take some fan questions. So you ready for some fan questions, Dan?
Absolutely.
Great, here we go. This is the first one. You gotta let me know if you need the volume adjusted.
Hello, I am Jason Ferguson, otherwise known as Jason Ranger, and my question goes out to Christopher Carmen Lee, Danny Salvin, Valerie Vernon, Melody Perkins, and Daniel Southworth. My question is, while filming, or just after filming your seasons, were you recognised by a fan for your role in that season, in your season, and what are some the highlights you can remember from that? Or if you can't name from that specific moment, just like name examples that you have done. So Thank you for taking the time to answer my question, and I'll be signing out.
So, immediately after filming the season of Time Force, it didn't happen right away, but every once in a while, I'd be somewhere and there'd be a kid walking by with his or her mom or dad, and they'd just stop. And I don't think mom or dad really knew what was going on with their little boy or little girl, but I knew because they were staring straight at me going, and I would sort of on the sly, and then they would go and freak out, and the parents had no idea what was going on, and I would just walk away. But and then after a while, it became more frequent, or more and more parents would watch the shows with their kids, and then they would know right away. They would come up and say, "Hey, we like you on the show. We enjoy actually being able to watch the show with our children," which is one of the things we liked about Time Force a lot, was that it was something that the parents seemed to really buy into also.
Even as a fan, like with Time Force, for me, it felt a little bit more, I don't want to say adult themed, but it definitely felt like a little bit more mature, with like it's seemingly a death of a ranger in the first episode, and like
yeah, I can tell you firsthand that was part of the agenda, was to actually grow the show up a little bit with its audience.
that's a smart idea though.
It was. It's a complex issue because you have new and younger generations coming in and liking the show, and then you have older generations, moving away from the show. So how do you actually capture all of it? It's difficult. You can't. When Disney came in, they chose to stay within a core group. So Time Force had the distinction of being that one season that just pushed the edge a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
And the feedback I get a lot is that a lot of parents actually say that they actually could enjoy sitting down watching the show with their kids, which I thought was great. And so I'm actually putting together a show called Full Power. You'll see a teaser for it soon, and it's designed to be something that we think the Ranger fandom is really going to buy into and enjoy. There are going to be a lot of throwbacks, or at least hints or Easter eggs for them to look forward to. We want to design something that's competitive with anything Marvel is doing, but still be able to encompass a broad demographic, like Rangers was able to do that season we did Time Force.
Just a question out of curiosity, did you happen to see the MMPR deboot, the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger? What did you think of that?
I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was kick-ass.
Let's hope Adi Shankar does another one and integrates the Quantum Ranger.
I actually sent a message to Adi Shankar on his Facebook, and I never do that. But I was so impressed with what they did and his take on it that I sent him a message and I go, "Hey, I'm around and I'm working on trying to do stuff, and we kind of share your point of view. Give me a shout if you're interested in doing something together." So it's out there.
Ready for your next question?
Yeah.
This is it. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Omar Cabrera. My question to you guys is, who is your idol? Who did you guys look up to when you were a little kid, or who you look up to today? It could be anybody, a character or a person, because I know when I was sick with cancer, I admired you guys and I looked up to you guys, and you guys are my idols. So thank you very much, and thank you for answering my question. Have a nice day. Thanks, #show. You guys are awesome. Bye.
So the question was, who was my idol growing up? And I can honestly say that when I was a little boy, I looked very, very Asian. And now I'm kind of developed more of a half Asian look, but I was very Asian. I was very, small for an Asian kid, and I remember getting picked on a lot because I was the only Asian kid in the block. And all the kids thought I was supposed to know Kung Fu or something. And one day, my grandmother and my mother used to take me along with them to San Francisco to go shopping in Chinatown all the time. And they took me to see my first Bruce Lee movie, my first feature movie, period. And it was Bruce Lee. And I remember being about 6 or 7 years old and watching Bruce Lee come on and going, "Oh, wow, the Asian guy's really good, man. He's kicking butt. He's pretty cool. I like him. He's probably going to die in the next scene." And then it took me a while to realize, because you're at a young age, that kind of felt, that he was actually the lead, and I was electrified. I was electrified every time it came on. I was an immediate Bruce Lee fan, and it wasn't necessarily the martial arts that made him my idol. It was that at that time, he was the first non-Caucasian lead in a film that was somebody that who grew up as a non-Caucasian could identify with and really be mesmerized by. He had a very electrifying personality. So that was my first idol.
That's awesome. That's great. Bruce Lee. And it stuck, I mean, it got you to where you are pretty much.
I got me to study martial arts. Yeah. And I got really serious about the martial arts after being exposed to Bruce Lee and then it was Jackie Chan for a while because, you know, I enjoyed how lighthearted he was with the action movies that he did, but then there was a time when it was just totally hardcore Bruce Lee again.
Which is crazy because you're actually kind of following in those kind of footsteps with doing all these martial arts based films.
It would seem.
That's amazing. You know what? There's a question I always had for you, and I never got to. Wanted to ask you last time. I didn't ask you. Now I heard that you were possibly you auditioned for the role of Rocky. Is this true?
I auditioned for the role of Adam.
Oh, Adam.
Adam, in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when they changed the cast the first time. So Johnny Young Bosch and I were screen tested for the same role.
That's crazy.
And I met him there, and I met Steve Cardenas and everybody, and we lived in this. We shared this a hotel complex together for about a week and a half while we were screen testing.
Really?
Yep.
That's insane. I didn't know that really.
I drove down for the open call. Actually, I had an appointment because I had just booked a manager, and I drove down from Northern California to audition for Power Rangers. And then like a couple of days later, I got a call back saying, yeah, we want to fly you back and put you up in a hotel and have you screen test. And that was it. I thought, okay, if I'm being flown down and put up in a hotel to screen test, maybe I should move out here. Even though I didn't get the job, I thought that's a really high place to get to your first audition. So I decided to give it a shot, come down and see what happened.
So there was a lot of time between Mighty Morphin and Time Force. How did you end up on Time Force then?
It was a long journey. What happened was, when I moved to Los Angeles, the very next job I did book, and this is very interesting, was the same role for the live show that toured the world. So I was the Black Ranger for the live stage production that toured Australia, Mexico, Europe, and the United States.
Yeah, I did. I saw you guys in Hollywood.
So I did that, and at the time I was doing a butterfly twist on stage, and not a lot of people had seen that. So that got back to corporate headquarters that there was this guy that was doing some of this more interesting action on stage. And after I got off the show, they hired me to do the corporate headquarters appearances. So for any of the media events or anytime there was a ranger at a Walmart, most likely that was me in costume, shaking hands, signing autographs. We would see 2,500 kids at a time. They would send us to Make-A-Wish Foundation. They would send us to the intensive care units in hospitals to meet people. So it was a serious job. And then from that, I ended up working with one of Jackie Chan's choreographers as a stuntman. Because of that, and because of my experience in the costume, actually in the suit doing suit acting, the Japanese stunt guys from the show asked me to audition for the next live show that they were doing. And the difference between the way the Japanese stunt guys do the live show and the live show that MCA produced is the Japanese show is a full-on stunt show. So you need to be a full-on stunt guy who can also do the suit acting. And when I say suit acting, hero to villain, and we doubled up. I would be a villain in the beginning of the show, then have to strip all my clothes off as fast as possible, get into the Ranger costume, come out, and for the next 40 minutes straight, play the Red Ranger. And that was Lost Galaxy. So I did the Lost Galaxy live show. From that, they brought me out to audition for Lightspeed Blue Ranger. Told me I was too intense next to Sean C.W. Johnson. Then I finished my tour on the live show, and finally the role of the Quantum Ranger opened up, and the executive producer, Koichi, who I'm grateful to for pushing me through casting, pushed me through the whole way, no matter what, wanted to see me make it all the way through to the end of the Quantum Ranger, which ended up being the perfect Ranger role for me to play.
Right. Now, about that, do you think that they kind of had you in mind already since they had already known you and seen you and just kind of like we're going to make Eric more based around who you are?
I worked for them as a stunt guy, actually on that same season, Time Force. They had to go back and erase some of the footage of me because they had cast me as the Quantum Ranger.
Is that right?
So they got a chance to see how intense my personality was. When I was younger, you know, when you're first trying, sometimes it can be really difficult, and my attitude about it all was to be as intense as I could and work as hard as I could. And I think that's what they saw in the character, and I got lucky there was a match. And that Koichi liked me enough to push me through for that character.
And it all worked out for the best because the Quantum Ranger literally is one of the most badass characters in the Power Rangers universe.
I'm very happy to have gotten the chance to play that role, and it was worth the very long journey.
That's awesome. So we can expect to see Hunted very soon.
Yes.
And when it comes out, we'll let you know. And if you're doing martial arts, obviously it's going to be pretty badass.
Yes.
Another quick question I had, and then we can wrap this up. Another quick question I had, though. They are developing a TV series based on the Expendables. They're getting a lot of Fox is developing a TV series based on the Expendables. And they're getting, from what we know, they're getting a lot of TV stars that are like, you know, Chuck Norris. Well, maybe not Chuck Norris's, but like Kevin Sorbos and these kind of guys.
Right.
What are the chances we can see you on that?
I don't know. We'll have to talk to the executive producers and see what they're interested in.
I'd love to see some Dan Southworth on the Expendables TV show.
That would be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
Hashtag Dan Southworth Expendables TV.
Right on.
Thank you so much for your time, Dan.
My pleasure, man.
You're the man.
Always fun talking to you guys.